No, okay, so the last duel. When I first started watching it, I remember thinking the pacing of this is weird because I didn't realize that I knew the movie was going to cut between like people's point of view and you're going to see, but I thought that was going to involve like one specific scene, not the whole movie. Yeah. So the movie started out, I'm like, wow, they're like going really fast. And like Adam Driver and Matt Damon went from friends to like enemies within like 2 minutes. And it was like really confusing. But then once you start to go back again and you see the same events from Adam Driver's perspective, it's like, oh, that's why it moved fast. Yeah. Because we're going to have this happen again. Once it was all said and done, I really liked how the point of views wasn't all truth is subjective, because yes, there is a way to make a movie where that's the point. But I thought this movie was saying something more specific, which is look at how men specifically warp events to feed their myopic kind of self-interested viewpoint. Yeah. And how like when you look at Matt Damon and Adam Driver's character, they take the same events and they warp it to comfort their own ego. Yeah. And I thought that was fascinating. And the movie makes a definitive statement on what was the truth. Yeah. And I thought it was interesting that here you have a woman who in that time was so, objectified, but also like marginalized, that she's the only one who sees the system for what it really is, because she's the one who's actually being affected by it. Yeah. And she has no way to even try and warp things her own way, because there's no way she can get it her own way. Yeah. And I just thought it was so fascinating to see how like these two guys are having a pissing contest and they really don't care about her fate. Yeah. They just care about their image. Yeah. And it's just fascinating how that happens in drastic ways, but also in like really subtle, minute ways, how their stories differ. Yeah. Also, I mean, the big duel scene that the movie is named after, really great scene. But I thought, one of the best parts about it was they did not make it cool. They did not make it like it was brutal. And they showed it. You like need a shower afterwards. You're like, basically, it was like the way that it was done made it feel like, everyone's going to feel like this was the honorable thing to do. Everyone's going to say that like this was the way for you to clear your name. But like, there's nothing honorable about this. Like, it's nasty. Like it's brutal. Like, and it's, one person killing another. So it's like, I thought that scene, they showed the brutality of it, which I think was good. And I mean, it was really beautifully shot, so it was interesting the whole time. But my boy Ridley does something really cool where the movie opens on like the setup of the duel, and it's filmed like in this really grand, I don't know if operatic is the right way, but it's really grand. Like every little thing you see seems like it carries so much weight, and it looks epic. Epic's the word I'm looking for. There you go. Yeah. And you're like, oh, I can't wait till we get to that. Yeah. And then by like teasing you with like that epic setup, when it comes back around and you've seen the story, you've seen how marginalized this woman's become, when it gets to the duel and you see how this whole thing is just a petty pissing contest, putting this woman's life at stake, and you see how pathetic the duel actually is. I mean, it's shot really well. It's, played out in an interesting way, but it's not indulgent. Yeah. And so like when you watch it and you're like, oh, I feel gross. It's like, oh, he really got me with that setup. Yeah. And I feel like it just speaks to that idea of like, I mean, we do this so much in our lives where it's like we hear a story that's tragic or, something happens and, it doesn't affect us. So like, we don't care much about it. It's because we don't have the perspective of knowing the people or knowing the story very much. And so it's like at the beginning of the movie, we see a duel that's about to happen. And we're like, whoa, cool. Like a cool fight scene, like a cool duel. And you get all the way through the movie and you have all that perspective finally of the different characters. And like,
just like, especially Jodie Comer's character and what she's been through, and kind of, I don't know, I felt like her perspective may have been a little bit more truthful, you know, or a lot more truthful.
Yeah.
But, you know, you have that added perspective and you see that that battle isn't cool. It's not like showy. It's not like necessarily something to be proud of. I guess it's kind of, at the end of the day, just brutal, and, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, real quick. It's just so sad how for both Matt Damon and Adam Driver's characters, their concern had nothing to do with her well-being.
Yeah.
It was all about their own image. You know, Matt Damon wants to make sure everyone knows he's not, you know, a guy whose wife would rather have another man.
Yeah.
Like, it's all about his honor. And even Adam Driver, he framed it as this, oh, we're two lovers with this unrequited love, and we just have to get it out of our system. And even though he's painted this as he loves her.
In the different perspectives too, one thing I loved about the movie was there were just some amazing details.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about, in the different perspectives, you see the same thing happen, you know, 2 times or 3 times, but they'll change subtle little details, even if it's just like how they said one thing. It's like they say it with a different inflection, or like the shoes is a great example of that. In the one scene,
or there's the scene where Matt Damon and Jodie Comer, they go to see Adam Driver outside at that like little get together, and Matt Damon and Adam Driver have that little like kind of like patching things up. Yeah. And Matt Damon and Jodie Comer are dancing, and Jodie Comer like acknowledges Adam Driver in the distance, and from his point of view, she was like giving him like a flirtatious look. Right. Whereas from her point of view, she was just like talking to Matt Damon, pointing at him and like kind of like going like, oh, isn't that guy kind of full of himself or something? Like she was just pointing at him. Right. Yeah. But anyway, it's just a really interesting look about how societies value image more than truth. Mm-hmm. And it was just executed really well. Yeah. And we're just kind of scratching the surface of it, because there's a lot of layers that involve just kind of like, one of the most fascinating parts of the movie was just their belief that God wouldn't allow someone who's lying to lose the duel, which I thought was one of the most fascinating parts of the film. Yeah. Is just kind of how they mess around with that idea of, back then, God wouldn't allow someone that was not telling the truth to live through a duel. So therefore, if you win the duel, you were telling the truth the whole time. How the system's like rigged. Like, well, with they were saying how a woman can only get pregnant if she enjoys sex. And so if Jodie Comer got pregnant, then therefore it wasn't rape because she would have enjoyed it. It's like, it's the just system's rigged. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, but so I thought there was a lot to that movie, and I've just been surprised that it hasn't gotten as much traction as I thought it deserved. Yeah, I agree. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely recommend. Yeah, it's really good. Out.